Hello, everyone. Welcome on in. It is a new week here on the Betting Weekly Studios, and we start our new week with a trip to the Betting Weekly Dojo. Before I introduce you to Neil Channing, my co-host here on the Dojo, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like. You all likes and your subscriptions are very, very well wanted, and we would love it if you could join us here and be notified of every time any content is dropping. Lots of action happening on the channel here with the US Open and the Premier League as well in full flow. So don't miss out on any of our content. Please ring that bell and please hit that subscribe button. Okay, this is it. It's a Dojo week, and I'm delighted to say joining me in a hotel in central London is my co-host Neil Channing. Good morning to you, Neil.
Yeah, hi Nigel. The Central London Hotel. I've gone for a real nice hotel, but with the world's smallest room. I think it's. I can't swing too many cats around here. Luckily, I have no need to do that.
We joined Neil last week, and he said it was a busy week of racing. And I was looking at the television screen, Neil, the other day. York races, put on the old TV screen, flicking through, watch the race. Who do I see picking up the trophy for the first place? My old Mucker Channers. I must admit, the shirt and the tie combination didn't go, but you wasn't pulled up by the flashing police, but you were there picking up the trophy.
It was quite funny. It was hilarious, actually. I found the whole week quite hilarious. I was at York all week. Which for people who don't follow horse racing as carefully is one of the bigger meetings of the year, like Premier Group 1 racing. And a friend of mine said, I've taken the owner's badges from his mate who owned a couple of horses. And he said, he couldn't come, so he's let me have his owner's badges. So then he texted me and said, do you want to come in the paddock? So, go in with the owners and trainers, meet the jockey, that kind of thing. Before the race. Well, as it happens, I have met the owner, the trainer of that horse, and the jockey on more than one occasion. They found it quite funny when I arrived. I went up to the jockey and said, "Right, I've got 12 minutes of instructions on how you should ride it. It's not even my horse." And anyway, then the horse won, and my friend was like, "Oh no, someone has to collect the trophy. I only really came along for the free tickets. I didn't realize I was going to have to collect the trophy." And the trophy was a tea set. Well, there was a kind of a vase, and they also give you a tea set. So he lifted up the teapot, and I was sort of standing in the background with the teacup in my hand. It was quite funny. There's an amazing number of people. I didn't think so many people watched the trophy presentation of the racing. I found relatives that I didn't think watched horse racing were saying, "I think I saw Neil on the TV the other day holding a teacup for some reason." But yeah, no, it was very funny. It was a great week. I really enjoyed it. I didn't get very much sleep, and I was going to have a bit of a rest in London, but I forgot, of course, it's the US Open, and I've been very busy with the US Open. Lots of bets on that.
And how have you been getting on? More important, did you have a good, profitable week? It was good fun picking up the trophy, but did you bet the winning race? Did you bet some winners?
Well, there was one bookie on course who, obviously in the UK, we have on-track bookmakers. So they're small independents and they set up and quote their prices. And sometimes they compete against each other a little bit with different prices and can be quite aggressive. And there's one guy, I've known him, I must have known him 30 years. I don't really bet with him very often. And I don't know. He just seemed to. He had a couple of times where he had better terms than everyone else. He was paying out a different number of places or slightly better on the place horses. So I started having a few bets with him, and he thought it was terribly funny banter to be. I was losing. I think I lost like the first 6 bets I had with him, and he started saying, "Oh yeah, well I think I'm going to have to do an affordability check on you. Have you got a copy of your gas bill and stuff like that?" Anyway, he came up to me on the start of the third day and sort of tried to sort of make sure I was okay. You seem to be losing a bit too much. Can you afford it and stuff? And I said, "Jeff, we are halfway in this endeavor. It's half time. You may be winning at this stage, but I have had a bet on the half time, full time, home win the first half, away win the second half." And I think we had 2 races of the meeting to go. I went up to him and I said, I think my work is done for the week. The home away halftime full time has copped. So yeah, it was a strong comeback by me.
Yeah,
and, I did thank him for facilitating the business. he didn't seem quite so chuffed at the end of the last day as he was at the end of the second day.
Well, I mean, I can always tell with you, Channing. You're a professional poker player. You're a professional poker player, but I can always tell you've had a good week punting.
Well, it was
you let it. You should be very guarded by that. You'd always know in Channing.
No, but it was it was just a fun week anyway, because it was just it was lots of dinners out and lots of running into different people, and it was just a funny week. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. And then I've come back to London and I've been trying to get some tennis bets on. So yesterday I thought, I can see some good prices with this particular firm, and they got a couple of shops in London. So I thought, well, I'll pop to the shop. So I don't know. It looked to me about equidistant between the two shops. So I couldn't really decide which one to go to. One's a sort of posh shop in the West End, and it's funny, if you don't know London well, the West End is kind of the CBD where the big shops are and stuff like that. And this one's in Mayfair, which is, if you're playing Monopoly in the UK, that's one of the purple spots. So it's definitely a place where people maybe stake a bit higher. But I decided to go for a shop that they had, which was actually in West London, not the West End, but West London. And I thought, well, I'll just jump on the tube and I'll pop down there because I know that shop, and I think, they probably won't be so busy. I'll be able to, have a bit of time to get all my bets down, and lots of different tennis matches. And these people in the shop, sometimes they struggle with the spelling of the names, that kind of thing. So I thought I'll jump on the tube, no problem. Go to Westbourne Park. That will be easy enough. It should be easy. Oh, look, there's a train coming in 1 minute. Let me get on that one. Well, yeah, I forgot it was the Notting Hill Carnival this weekend. You've never seen a train more busy. I don't know. You like the Olympics, don't you, Nigel? The women sprinters. What was the name of that woman? She was a sprinter. She won a gold. I think she was St. Lucia. It seemed like everyone had the same kind of. Lots of the girls had the same kind of shorts that she wore. I mean, I have to say, I thought they were pornographic. Really, the shorts. I didn't know where to put myself. Really, I was squeezed up against this woman in the tube. And then everybody's singing, they're all blowing their whistles and everything. There's beads everywhere. And I thought, well, I don't, maybe I'll get off early, but you couldn't really. Some of the stations were closed. Everyone was cheering and shouting, banging on the rails of the tube carriage. Fantastic it was. Anyway, we get to the station. To get to the bookies, I need to turn left out of the station. It's probably like a 2-minute walk. They would only let you turn right because that takes you into Carnival. I walked around for an hour and a half. Like, they fenced off all the side streets so that people, don't get up to mischief in other people's backyards. And there's all kinds of security people around making sure that you go the right way. And I kept saying to the guy, "No, I want to go to in that direction." He's like, "You have to go." It was ridiculous. Anyway, finally I get to the shop. There's 2 shops there, actually, 2 bookie shops. One of them's boarded up. I mean, that's how rough it is during the carnival. And the other one, they both had bouncers on the door. And, by then I've been walking around for an hour and a half. I can tell you, I got the munchies after that. And, the whiff, I mean, the smoke, the plume of smoke above the place. I mean, I don't know why people bothered buying any gear because, you couldn't fail to get semi-high by just wandering around. I was absolutely off my trolley by the end of it. And anyway, I went in the bookies. I had a few friendly wagers, and it was good. It was good. It worked well. The tennis went very well. I was kind of euphoric for the rest of the day. I would recommend it if you've never been to Carnival. I think you'd love it.
Go on the train and just go. Well, you must have realised. How did you not know the Carnival's on it?
Well, I just forgotten temporarily. I don't know. I'm not someone. I used to live slightly on the outskirts of the Carnival route, and I was more aware of it then. But it's kind of gone off my radar recently. I'm not spending as much time at Carnival as I used to, really.
No. Oh dear! I mean, that can only happen to you, Neil. That's it. I can just imagine you just trying to
Can you
justify.
imagine how much I must have stood out? I'm wandering about with a pocket full of readies, my pen ready with my betting slips, and I've got a list of tennis bets. I'm looking at my phone, thinking I just need to double check the prices haven't changed, and everyone else is just having a joyous occasion, dancing in the streets, and I'm deafened by the boom boxes. Yeah.
But you won though. You had a good winning night.
I did. I
so
did
justified.
actually.
Okay.
I got a bit lucky. So
that was good.
What
What were
can
you
I
doing?
say?
What were you playing on the totals?
I was playing on the total games in various matches. So yeah, it was all good fun. I mean, I must have done well because I went to the Mayfair shop this morning, and someone had left a message. If he comes in, tell him he's barred.
Probably because you smelled of drugs.
That was it.
Betting.
That was
It's
it.
nothing to do with that.
Well, when you went into York races, they had a sniffer dog, a lovely spaniel. You're not allowed to pet them, though. They're gorgeous dogs, to check you out. And I walked in with a mate of mine, and the dog went straight for him. And
Yeah.
I said to him, and then he had to go through they took him aside to a separate area and patted him down and everything. I said, what was all that about? He said, I think it's a liberty, absolute liberty. I haven't got any drugs on me. I said, well, why do you think the dog went for you? He said, well, it must have been from last night.
Oh, dear. Well, there's that's an amazing story again on the old.
Well, I'll tell you what, if
Carnival.
that spaniel had gone to Notting Hill yesterday, he'd have taken 3 weeks to get over it. He'd have been absolutely stoned.
So if you're in London over the weekend or next year, make sure you check out where the Notting Hill Carnival is if you want to go down to any betting shops. Again, the US Open tennis bets on. Talking to US Open, Sean Calvert is currently in New York. You can follow him on our socials at Because We Win, and I'll be jetting out there tomorrow. Myself and Sean will be together tomorrow evening and all the way through to the start of next week as well. So that is what is coming on the channel. Obviously, I said at the top of the show, the Premier League is available as well. All the shows are in there, but it is a big couple of weeks now stateside with the start of the NFL season next week. Now, obviously, Neil, my time remembering you or working with you, you were really heavy into the American football. You were the lead head of American NFL for the companies we worked at. You was doing Indian play, but you're interested in the NFL. This is something that over the years you've told me before that I've asked you to do some. You don't really bet so much, or you don't follow it as much anymore. But you've sort of switched your attention from the main handicap spreads and the points markets to more prop markets. Obviously the NFL's coming up. A lot of people watch this NFL. I mean, what's the reasoning behind that? What's all that about? Why have you decided to move away?
I'll be honest with you, Nigel. I think a lot of what I was doing years ago in the NFL was not. I mean, I definitely had opinions on it, and sometimes I'd be right, sometimes I'd be wrong. But a lot of what I was doing was front running syndicate moves. So you remember we often used to talk in the office about the wise guys.
Yeah.
The wise guys are playing this game, and there were multiple syndicates even in those days. But generally speaking, there were a couple of big groups. If anyone is interested in this kind of thing and wants to look it up, it's fascinating to read about something called the Computer Group. I mean, it's funny that they were called the Computer Group because it was almost like, there could only be one computer group because the world's only got about 3 computers in it. Obviously, every syndicate must be called the Computer Group these days because all their work is done on computers. But in those days, it was such a rarity that anybody would plug in a computer to work out their bets that they were called the Computer Group. And actually, the poker players, Doyle Brunson and Chip Reese, were kind of involved in the Computer Group, and they really transformed the way that people bet on baseball originally. But they were obviously, the NFL was a bigger market than baseball. There's a lot more liquidity, and they got very heavily involved in that. And you could sort of tell sometimes what they were likely to bet and which games they were going to get on, kind of before they'd totally shown their hands. And I was kind of a bit of a reader of what they were doing. And I found I quite often was on their selections before they were, or before they'd really unloaded. And I had quite a good edge doing that. But the internet probably changed it. It meant that, well, there was a lot of sort of off-screen activity. People were betting without hitting the market. In America, you have the Dom Best system. In the UK, we have Odds Checker. So where people look at the prices of all the different firms. And a lot of the big syndicates in America in the last 5 years say, well, just keep it off the Dom Best screen. We'll try and bet with companies that aren't listed on there so that the screen doesn't suddenly change color and everyone gets to see what you're doing. We'll try and get as much as we can on before we do that last move. And I think that meant that it was the markets were still moving around a lot, but it was a lot harder to follow who was doing what. And I don't think that just betting on opinion, I had a good enough opinion to beat the market. So I kind of stopped doing just teams to win on the handicap because it wasn't paying. I think maybe about 5 years ago, I had my second consecutive bad season. And I thought, I'm not doing this right. I'm not giving it enough time and attention. I could either start putting a hell of a lot more time into it, or I could change my approach. And around the same time, I was having a chat with my good friend Rich, who does stuff on NFL for the tipping site I'm involved in, Betting Emporium. And he said, well, I think there's a lot more liquidity and a lot of this player stuff these days. Because, as we've said on this show before, there's a definite change in the way that betting works these days. We're having a slight sort of Europeanization of the American markets, in that people are looking a lot more at same game parlays and prop betting. And, there's way less people thinking that the way their Sunday is going to pan out is they're going to have 3 bets of 110 to win 100, see how they get on, and then have 2 bets of 110 to win 100 in the later games. People don't really bet like that anymore. People like to bet parlays, and they like to bet player props, and they like to do parlays of player props and in-game parlays. And I said to him, well, do you think there's an argument for saying that now there's bigger liquidity in that stuff? It's better to put the time and effort into that. And he definitely agreed that that was the case. And he's absolutely smashed it every year since. And he used to put up not very many bets, actually. The first couple of years, he sort of said to me, well, I'm just going to try and find my best 1 or 2 bets each week. And I think one of those seasons, he had like 5 consecutive losing weeks because he was only having, maybe only had 7 bets in that time. Obviously it's easy to lose 7 consecutive bets. He still ended up having a winning season, but I think because it's a tipping site, he felt like the customers were not going to be a lot of the customers were like, they'd lost heart by the time you'd had 5 or 6 losing weeks. And they staked down, and then when he started winning it back again, they didn't really get their money back. And I think there was a little bit of that, and a little bit of the psychology of that kind of thing. So now he said, well, I actually think there's quite a lot of value in these markets, and I'm going to have 6 or 7 games that I get interested in every week, and I might have 2 or 3 bets in every game. And I think this is something we talked about on the dojo before, the kinds of markets that you can bet on. So, for example, in soccer, if you bet on just the 1-2x, so, home win, away win, draw, there are 3 options, and most bookies will price that up, giving themselves a built-in profit margin of around about 10%, a theoretical profit margin, assuming that they take even action on each one, which they never do. And a lot of people used to think, well, that's quite an interesting way to bet. I'm quite happy with that. Maybe I might do a parlay of 3 home teams or 3 away teams or whatever. And that was fine. And you can see clearly what the bookie's margin is. They mostly it's like 110. Some people may do a loss leader and go for 108 or even 104 or something. And of course, you can shop around between different books. And you might find that by shopping around, you get it down to 102 or 101 or something like that. Fine, all fine, no problem. Can see that very, very easy. Now, a lot of people, particularly American professional punters, would say, that's the only way you can really bet. Because if you start looking at something, again, if I take the example of soccer, but NFL is just the same. So with NFL, you know, two teams, one's a favorite, 7.5 point favorite. They're both 10 to 11 minus $1.10. And, you know, we can see that that's a 105. Each team has 2.5% juice on the bet. And so the bookie's operating to 105. If we look at a different market, like the first touchdown scorer, where there's maybe 25 guys listed, the profit margin looks a lot higher because possibly they go for 2% a player on the juice, and maybe the theoretical profit margin is in the 140s or even in the 150s. And a lot of American professional punters will say, well, you can't possibly beat that. How can you win? Why would you bet on that when you can bet on just the handicap which team at 105? But of course, they're not really laying every player. And first of all, we have our old friend, the favorite long shot bias, which means that the long shots are priced very poorly. Lots of people are in at 15 to 1 that should be 30 to 1. Lots of people are 30 to 1 that should be 100 to 1. And sometimes the favorite is plus 450. But if you actually go through and look at their stats and whatever, you know, yes, they should be on average plus 450, but this is a really good matchup for them or something like that. And people are very competitive. The firms think, the bookies think, well, I like taking bets on that market because it's got a high theoretical VIG. So they compete, and they often compete at the short end of the market. They often, you know, a few firms will go up with 7 to 2, the favorite, plus 350. And then someone will think, well, we'll just go plus 400 and we'll get all the business. And then a new firm will come into the market and they'll say, well, we'll go plus 450 and trump everybody. And there's a little bit of a Dutch auction over the prices. And once you get to the firm going plus 450, it may turn out that the plus 350 guy would have thought he was being quite aggressive in his pricing. And the plus 450 guy hasn't really given it that much thought. He just thought it would be fun to be the best price and attract all the business. It's good. You know, there's other things going on. It could be good for sign-ups, being the best in a high-profile game on the most popular player. And actually, Tighty looked at all that kind of stuff and said, you know, you can beat that. That is well beatable in the long run. Now, again, as I say, I listen to podcasts and stuff where American pro sports bettors would dismiss those markets as ludicrous, not even worth looking at because the theoretical hold is very high. But that's fine. I'm very happy for those people to leave that alone because there's all the more for me. The other thing is that I do like betting on, which I find quite interesting, is to score a touchdown. So if you have a player to score a touchdown, and again in the Premier or in major soccer, to score a goal any time in the game. Generally speaking, bookies only price to score any time in the game. They don't really price a two-way thing, not to score. Some do, but generally it's to score is much more what people are looking at. And again, what happens is the firms will sort of go, okay, he scores in 50% of his games, and or maybe he scores in 30% of his games, but they're favourite this week, and they're at home and whatever. So we'll ramp him up. We'll make him a bit closer to 50%. So we'll go plus 125 or something. But now a couple of new firms that haven't stuck their prices up yet will go, oh well, we can be plus 150 and we'll be the best price, and that'll maybe get us some new sign-ups or whatever. And yet again, it turns out, due to our old friend, the favourite long shot bias, that these are very inefficiently priced. And if you bet the favourites to score a touchdown in these games, you do quite well. The other thing, of course, that's happened in both in soccer and in NFL is that over the last 10 years has become a lot higher scoring. Now, obviously, there's been some fluctuations, and NFL hasn't consistently gone up every single year. And soccer has some divisions, the goal expectation keeps going up and up and up. Other places, it's not so high. But I think if you look at those kind of markets, again, a lot of pros would say, what are you doing betting on that? There's a huge theoretical vig against you on if you look at the prices of all the players and then you work out the percentage, the number of touchdowns the team's going to score and what are they in for. But I'm not betting the tight end or the second running back or the the third receiver, because that is where the theoretical juice is too high. It's the main receiver and the running back where the juice is close to the true price. So I don't know. I've changed my way of doing it. I'm really not doing the work on it, by the way. I will credit all that to Ty Dent. He does hours of work on it every week. And he comes up with some great bets. But I do find I'm getting involved in a lot more games. And actually, the bookies that I'm attacking, well, they just think I'm an idiot because I'm betting on, I'm betting on very standard markets. The TV game, the two most likely guys to score a touchdown, and I'm betting both of them. I mean, from their point of view, it's like, oh, this is just very retail business. What's not to like? And we're all happy. Everyone's happy.
I mean, just compare it to like football. Obviously, I'm not an NFL better. If someone gave me a tip of an NFL, I'd bet it, but I wouldn't have any idea looking at the odds or looking at the prices. But you would think that an anytime NFL scorer would be bigger than a Premier League goal scorer, for example. You look Haaland this weekend playing Brighton. He's minus 120 to score at any time in that match. I would think that is the prices for what kind of prices are you betting on these guys to score at any time? They must be plus 150.
Some of the players, the one or two absolute elite players in the league that just seem to score every week can be as short as like minus $1.75, right, something like that. But for most teams, the shortest guy will be like plus 125.
So it more or less the same price as a top striker
yeah,
score
really,
Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, you get slightly more touchdowns in an NFL game than you get goals in a soccer game, but you got more players to share the touchdowns between.
What is and this is a novice question. Obviously, people who watch this who've been Americans will be able to tell me this, but I would no idea. What is the sort of the appearance to a touchdown ratio for a top player? So, for example, if you had again, I'll refer to Haaland. I mean, his Manchester City records are. I mean, I'm going to get him in front of me. He's had 99 appearances for Manchester City, 87 goals. So he's playing.
I'd have to look up to.
But
it's a year since I last looked at any NFL. Really, by the way, I do think that there's nothing wrong with not. I don't like to look at any of that preseason stuff. Really, I know we made a bit of a comment about the scores going up. No, I can't think off the top of my head, Nigel.
But I mean, would that be? Is it like? Do they get one and one every other game, or is it like?
Yeah, that kind of.
Yeah.
Region.
Okay. Just because to get sort of those prices, I just wondered if there was because you're in for more points, more touchdowns would be more goals. If you got.
You definitely get players where they, there were definitely people last year where I just seemed to bet them every week at like even money, and they seem to score like 2 weeks in 3.
But if the point I'm trying to make here, I'm sort of refer it to soccer betting, is if your guy Tighty is making this value by taking people at minus 150, minus 125 to score a touchdown in a match, when you've got a player like Haaland who scored 87 goals in 99 appearances for Manchester City, when he does play and he's minus 120, that's obviously still tremendous value if you're using the same detail in terms of the of what you've got for the NFL.
Well, obviously, I'm not able to listen, talk, and look it up at the same time. But luckily, John has helped out. So take Derrick Henry for the Ravens. He's a running back, so he played in 17 games last year, and he scored 18 touchdowns. So he was second in the league. Jamar Gibbs was top. He played in 17 games, scored 20 touchdowns. But I don't really, off the top of my head, I don't think either of them were generally odds on to score. They would have been even money, more like to score.
Wow. So that's tremendous value. I mean, you look, I mean, he's put the list up here.
I mean, maybe they were odds on. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I can't. It seems a long time ago. All this.
I mean,
stuff.
20 touchdowns, 17 games, 18 touchdowns, 17 games. I mean, that's higher ratio than the football players. So these guys do get a huge amount of touch. So that's definitely a little bit. The only problem is for those kind of markets, they're still considered prop markets for sportsbooks now, are they?
But when you're betting people at sort of even money, 5-4, 6-4, minus $1.50, whatever, people will let you have a bet. It's not like, I mean, obviously if you want to bet, 50 grand on, it's quite easy on the handicap to bet 50 grand. It's not that hard on a Sunday afternoon. Maybe on a Thursday it's hard, but I don't want to bet 50 grand on each one. I'm having about 12 bets a week on it. So, no, you can get 4-figure bets on, no problem.
Well, so there's something to look at. I mean, it goes back to
the other thing is, I don't know. I feel like that part of the reason that we've made the switch, I say we, the boys at Betting Emporium and the customers of Betting Emporium, is because we thought that the regular markets were so efficiently priced these days. And I wonder, and I'm sure that's true. I mean, it is hard. And there are so many syndicates, vying with each other, battering those prices around. I speak to a guy who's involved in a sort of smallish syndicate, and, they quite often have like $1 million swings on a Sunday on NFL. And they wouldn't really be, in the top 20 biggest syndicates in the world. But one game can be $1 million swing, and just on -2.5 the favorite or whatever. It's impossible to get those kind of swings on the player markets, of course. But if you're like me and you're not looking to win millions, you're looking to, have a few grand on or something and lay out a bit of money over a Sunday and get a little dividend. I think it's perfect. And I also think because I'm playing in a market that is full of recreational money. So the people that I'm betting with probably think, well, that's handy. That's another player we've laid. We hadn't laid that favorite before, I mean, or, they're looking at their list of people that have bet, and it's just like, 50 recreational customers and Channing have had a bet on this thing. I mean, I don't feel like anybody would look on Monday morning and go, we got to close this guy's account. He had a bet on the most popular player in the league to score a touchdown in the TV game, even money.
No.
It doesn't sound like I'm doing a very genius thing. The other thing, of course, is that those markets where you do get a two-way price, where it's under over. So you're betting, I don't know, some running back, will he get over or under 68.5 yards rushing? And those ones, like 15 years ago, you would only really see those markets in the playoffs. You might see them on the TV game, one TV game a week. You get them in every single game now. Now, I'm not saying you can get thousands on that very easily. It's quite hard. But you can if you work at it. And often those prices are very volatile. They'll price somebody up at 66.5. You could look 2 days later, there'll be 73.5, or maybe there'll be 56.5. They do move around, and there's no guarantee that the guy who's pricing it up has a clue what he's doing. So you're doing a bit of sort of old-fashioned punting against a bookmaker, where it's one guy's opinion and people get a chance to say whether that opinion's right or wrong, which is what I love. Don't you love that? That's the best part about gambling.
Definitely. I mean,
you love that in the tennis, don't you? When the first show goes up, you've had a look at the games and it's 48 hours before the match. It's not really been put up yet, and they put that first price up and you're thinking, oh, please put up even money. I want to be on this one. And now suddenly it's like, well, hang on, they've put up plus $1.20. Let me double check my workings again. I've got it wrong.
It used to happen a lot more than it does now, Neil. I mean, go back 10 years ago, there'd be loads of times like now. It's like the market doesn't really fluctuate much, even in like first round.
Doesn't it make your pulse quicken? The time when you first click the mouse and you don't know what you're going to see.
Yes, I do. I mean, the trouble is I haven't got the time to look around to find the price anymore.
I don't know what you're doing with all your time, Nigel.
I'm not rushing. I'm going to the Notting Hill Carnival celebrating rather than looking around looking for betting shops. I mean, I find it fascinating the amount of touchdowns more touchdowns to appearances when you consider you can get plus money on. So you may have hit a little something there that I might be. Well, I'll definitely be following. The other thing I'm following is the Test cricket. I mean, everyone here has been following our Test cricket. We got any Test cricket this week?
No, we're on a little gap from the Test cricket. There's all kinds of other tournaments going on at the moment. I don't know. I'm not really the one day stuff. I'm less interested in. There's they have a thing in the UK, the 100, and then I think there's a Caribbean Premier League.
You're a Caribbean correspondent.
Yeah. Well, I love all that.
You're muckers down there.
But there's a lot of money splashing around in those things. So the players, they're busy with that. They don't do Test matches. So we don't have any more we had a few, but now we've had a little break from that.
And one other thing I'm going to mention about the weekend. I don't know if you would have saw the score. Did you see how Hearts got on at the weekend against Motherwell?
They got beat, didn't they?
No, they drew. They were 3-0 down.
They drew 1-0.
3-3.
Oh, there we go. I got it. I sort of half looked. Yes, you're right. Sorry, they went off. Did they go off? Let me think. Was it minus 160 or something like that?
They were 3-0 down with 25 minutes to go, and came back and got 3-3 draw. Yeah, they were.
I didn't realise that bit. I did suddenly think on Monday, Nigel's bound to ask me about Hearts. I better see how they got on, and it shows how much notice I took because I forgot. Yeah. But I did remember that they drew. I was like, they had a bad result. I wonder if
you were having your hair braided in Notting Hill Carnival while you were on the way to the shop.
I was getting a henna tattoo.
Yeah.
Have they drifted on without the front two market?
No. Well, I don't know. I haven't looked. I saw the. Well, I'd like to think we could get even money. I mean, they should have won the match in the end. They were 3-0 down. They came back and they had chances to win it. There was last 10 minutes. They threw everything at them and just couldn't get the winning goal. The stats.
So we're taking a positive out of it. We're not thinking.
Well, I mean, it's a drop point, but it dropped a couple of points. But they should have won it if you look at the thing. Let's have a look. We got top. I don't think I've got any market of it now. I mean, Rangers are completely gone at the game. Without Celtic and Rangers, what do we got here? No, still minus 110. Minus 110.
Yeah,
still minus 110. But I think that's still a decent bet. We don't really want
the danger with that one is that the firms might just pull it in a few weeks because that's not always one that will carry on being updated throughout the season. So you probably have to get down quite soon if you're going to.
Before we leave the NFL, did you say the other week you bet someone to win the Super Bowl this year?
I did have a small bet on the Rams.
Right.
It wasn't. It was just a sharp guy in America asked me if I could get him a bet down. He heard that it was 20-1 in London, so I had quite a small bet. But I have no idea what his reasoning was. I didn't stop and ask him.
There's loads of new stuff, new content coming in. We're probably going to be having an NFL show in the next couple of weeks as well, which will be announced in the next week or so before the season starts. Well, obviously, the American sport is covered by Doug and his fantastic team on Betting Weekly Hardball and Betting Weekly Fast Break, covering the baseball and the basketball, and they have been in great form. You can follow the shows here as well by hitting that subscribe button. Premier League, Champions League, Betting Weekly live every day. It's 4 p.m. UK, 11 o'clock Eastern time. And Betting Weekly Tennis Live, Monday through to Wednesday. The US Open now is really into full swing, and we'll have you covered for all the in-play. As I said at the top of the show, make sure you follow us on our socials at Because We Win. Sean Calvert is over in New York as we speak. Did you hear? He got given a free apartment by one of our subscribers.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't tell me. I've had to pay thousands to stay where I am. Amazing. And he told me the day before he's going, I got a free apartment. Well, I'm going the day after he left. I could have had the apartment.
Very nice. Well, I mean, I'm not really looking to go to New York, but if anyone's got an apartment in Venice or Florence, please feel free to message in. That'll be lovely.
Yeah, I'm in Monaco as well in April. Always looking for anything there for the tennis, anywhere around there. Dubai, one of my favourites as well. If you do like the dojo, you want to let us, I'm more than happy to. We'll look after it for you.
Melbourne as well. If
Melbourne,
has
yeah,
a place
yeah.
in Melbourne.
We'll keep it clean, keep it spot. He's got quick internet's all Neil wants, and he wants just access.
I can run the clean around,
Yep.
and the sink will be spotless.
Yep.
It'll be lovely. I'll leave it very nicely. You can leave some washing there to be done as well.
As long as you've got access to local betting outlet across the street, internet, that's all we need. Nothing else. But, any other glamorous places, holiday homes, we're more than happy to look after them for you while you're away. That's been it for the dojo this week. Neil, obviously, thanks for your time as well. And next week, we'll be back on Tuesday. It's a bank holiday in America on Monday, so Labor Day. So happy holidays to everyone in the stateside. We won't be doing a show then. I'll be in New York, and I'll be checking out my hotel on Tuesday morning. So hopefully we'll get that done and live before we jet back. But enjoy your week. The NFL obviously starts in a couple of weeks' time now. All the odds will be covered here by Bet Rivers on their app. Download the app as well. And if you like what you have on this show, there is going to be a NFL preview on our Insider this week, so the start of the season. So you can subscribe to that for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. You'll get the newsletter on a Monday and the Insider on a Friday. So all the Premier League games are covered. The American team are putting together some bets and some prop angles for the weekend, for the start, well, for week number 1, and that'll be available in your inbox on Friday. So subscribe to that for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. Thanks everyone for watching. Neil, thank you very much. Have a great week. Good luck with the betting, and obviously we look at the diary next time whenever you know what's going on. There's all these people running down the streets of London. I was trying to get the picture. Oh, it was the London Marathon. I wasn't aware.
We're jamming.
Yeah.
We hope you like jamming too.
There you go. There it is. A bit of Bob Marley to end the show. Take care, and we'll speak to you all again next week.